Yo, 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 what is up, y'all? My name is Robert Donaldson, and welcome back to another edition of Rob's Best Bets. And we're talking day 3 of college hoops. It's our second real big card where we have some actual options. On Tuesday, it was kind of lackadaisical. Obviously, the election was going on and probably a number of other reasons. I mean, Monday's card was stacked with so many different teams, and we came out with double-digit unit profit on Monday, man. We couldn't have drawn it up any better. And we actually, we could have actually done a little bit better if Brown had come through in the clutch. They were up 3 points, in regulation with about 10 seconds to go and then fouled a 3-point shooter. So, hey, when you're having a great day like that, you can nitpick a number of different things. I'm sure we caught a break in there that maybe I missed as well. But, I say we keep that momentum and push it forward going into today. And obviously, we're already off to a hot start in college basketball for this season. But before we jump into the picks, I do want to give a massive shout out to Underdog Fantasy. And as I always say, y'all, if you haven't signed up over there yet, use code ROBDFB for a deposit match bonus. I mean, they've got daily pick'ems, they've got daily fantasy. There's a million different sports going on right now. And so if you do want to get involved with that scene, man, we're going to start posting a lot more of those because it's just a great market to be involved in. But for all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into these picks. All right, for our first bet of the day, we are taking a look at a 7 p.m. Eastern Standard start time, and this is going to be in Storrs, Connecticut, and we're taking a look at Sacred Heart taking on Yukon, and Yukon the last 2 years has just been an absolute freight train, both against the spread and both in, the reality sense where they are going through the tournament, they're going through the regular season, and they're killing everybody. Well, at the same time, when you do that for 2 consecutive seasons, people are going to be so keen to back you, no matter what that number is, especially against an inferior opponent like a Sacred Heart. People are just going to say they're going to win by 50. They're going to win by 60. They're going to score 120 points. And this Yukon team coming into the season has lost a lot. They lost their best performing players. They've lost a number of starters. They're basically looking at a fresh new starting 5 for the most part, and that gives me some serious pause. That and also the combination of how dominant they've been with those guys over the past couple seasons. So for that reason, I'm kind of blind fading, these inflated lines here in the early going with Yukon. So give me Sacred Heart, getting the 34.5 points, and let's go ahead and bet 3 units on it here too. All right, next up, we are heading out to Fayetteville, Arkansas, where we have Lipscomb taking on Arkansas, and this is Coach Cal's coaching debut for Arkansas here, and obviously a lot of hype surrounding this team. He's coming over from Kentucky. He's bringing a number of talented players with him, but at the same time, there's a lot of, new faces in this lineup, and obviously the coaching staff is different. It's a new tenure, it has got a new feel, and I do want to eventually back Arkansas this season. I think they're going to make the dance, and I think they're going to be a good team down the stretch. But in the early going, I feel like they could be a little bit shaky, and Lipscomb is a good mid-major, one of the better mid-majors in my opinion. Nearly backed them on night 1, kind of kicking myself that I didn't. But with this line being suspiciously short, I kind of want to take it here. So let's go ahead and take Lipscomb, getting the 14.5 points here for our second bet here on Wednesday. 4. Pick number 3, we are taking a look at a matchup between Oral Roberts and Minnesota. And Oral Roberts is a mid-major team that obviously has a lot of, public notoriety, popularity, if you want to call it that, because of the run that they went on with Max Asmus, so many years ago at this point. It's kind of crazy to think back that was kind of during the shutdown pandemic year, but at the same time, they won over a lot of people's hearts, similarly to a St. Peter's or an FGCU. And although they do have that same branding, they're still the same program. They are far from that Paul Mills era and that Max Asmus era. This is a bad-looking team that's coming off of a bad season, and Minnesota has kind of an upwards trajectory right now under Ben Johnson, and I kind of want to ride it here when you have those 2 clashing perceptions. So let's go ahead and lay the 16.5 points here with Minnesota at home for our third pick here on Wednesday. Pick number 4, we are heading out to Omaha, Nebraska, where we have UTRGV, or they've had so many different name changes that I don't even know what their program even is anymore, but they're going up against Creighton, and Creighton is one of those teams that can be very, very volatile. And why I say volatile is because if the shots are falling, they can score 110 against literally anybody in the entire country. But if the shots aren't falling, all of a sudden you have a close game in the second half against a team like this. But at the same time, I do think that Creighton this year is a little bit more balanced. I think they have the ability to run any team off the floor, especially an inferior opponent like UTRGV. And in this matchup, I'm actually okay laying that 30.5 points. So let's go ahead and lay it here for 2 units for our 4th bet here on Wednesday. All right, next up, we are heading out to Eastern Washington, where we have Seattle taking on Eastern Washington University, and Dave Riley kind of took everybody with him from this Eastern Washington roster, and the guys that didn't follow him over to Washington State ended up going elsewhere either way. And when you are looking at, Seattle on the other side, this is a team with a lot of continuity. This is a good program. This is a team that I think can really compete this year in the WAC. And when you are kind of looking at how this matchup is going to take place, I think it's a big brand matchup, and Eastern Washington maybe will find it down the stretch, but there's so much uncertainty. I don't really feel high on Eastern Washington coming into the season, and for that reason, laying 7.5 points here is not something I have an issue with. So let's go ahead and lay that 7.5 with Seattle for a pretty sizable bet here for our 5th pick of the day. All right, for our second to last bet here on Wednesday, we are taking a look at a very fun mid-major matchup between Oakland and Boise State, and both of these programs made it into the dance last year. Boise State got knocked out of the play-in game, and Oakland, they had that monster upset over Kentucky in round 1 and kind of stole the hearts of people in the attendance, fans watching at home, were kind of the stars of March Madness for that day. But this roster this year under Greg Kampe, and I love Greg Kampe, and I've loved Oakland for so long, but they kind of were, I guess, picked apart by the NIL deals and the transfer portal, and all of their great players have either graduated or gone elsewhere. It's a totally new looking roster, and for that reason, although I think Greg Kampe is too good of a coach to lie down the entire season, and I'm sure they're going to fight for a portion of this game, I think Boise State is just far too talented and the far superior opponent in this matchup. So let's go ahead and lay that massive 17 number here with Boise State at home for 3 units for our second to last bet here on Wednesday. All right, for our final bet of the day, we are taking a look at another fun mid-major matchup, and I say mid-major in kind of quotations in a sense because San Diego State is involved, and yes, are they by definition a mid-major team? Sure, but I kind of look at them in the same vein as I look at a Gonzaga that's technically a mid-major. They've transcended the Mountain West because of how great Brian Dutcher has been, and I think that even though the roster has kind of been overhauled and they're kind of looking at a fresh new look this season, eventually I think Brian Dutcher is going to have this team ready to go. Now, you look at UC San Diego on the other side. This is a veteran-laden roster, and I think a very good-looking veteran-laden roster. And when you're getting 11.5 points against a team that's across town, or actually in the same town, only down the street rival, I think there's going to be so much motivation here. And for those reasons, I think UC San Diego is actually live in this game, but we're getting 11.5 points. I say we take it for 3 units. And for an extra 1 unit, let's go ahead and take a first half moneyline stab here as well. All that being said, y'all, I want to give you guys a massive shout out because not only did we break 7,000 followers on Twitter/X, and again, my handle over there and where you can find my every single day play, even if I don't have a YouTube video for the day, is at RobDFB over there. But you guys broke 7,000 followers over there. That was a really big milestone for me. I know that, when I saw that number creeping close, I didn't know how long it was going to take, and you guys smashed it in a couple days here with college basketball coming up. And over here on YouTube, this last college basketball video that we posted was one of my bigger videos on the channel. I mean, it only hit about 4,300, I think, views, but for me, and knowing the time that I put into this outside of my actual, day job. It's just really gratifying to see the hard work paying off and to see you guys appreciating the content. I saw the comments. I tried to respond to all of them, and they were overwhelmingly positive. So again, massive shout out to you guys. I can't thank you enough. And let's go ahead and make this another great day here on Wednesday. But for all that being said, y'all, I will see you in a future video. Take it easy.